We're talking about how the narcissist may act like they don't care, when really, secretly behind the scenes, they are watching everything. They're doing. They're stalking you, spying on you, monitoring you, keeping tabs on you. And they can't get enough of what they are seeing. While all the while they're acting like they didn't even care. Like it's not even of any interest to them. But yeah, they're watching. They only act like they don't care to maintain power and control over you. Because otherwise, if you know that they are watching you, then that gives you the power. It tells you that they see you as something important. And that's why they want to keep that away from you and instead leave you feeling that they don't really care about you at all. When really they do, they're constantly watching you. They can't get enough of you. They act indifferent to confuse and destabilize you. Because you may be thinking that they're watching you. You may be wondering where they are. And so they just want to leave you thinking that they just don't care at all. Which can confuse you, it can produce dissonance. Because then it leaves you seeking answers. It leaves you chasing after them to know whether or not they are watching you. So this is the game that they play. Because many of them, yes, they want you to chase after them. And because many of them are so delusional, they will twist it in their minds that no, you're chasing after them because they're desirable. Because you want something from them. Because they're that amazing. Even if no, you're just wondering why they are watching you, why they can't stop leaving you alone. But this is how a narcissist's brain operates. It's like they have different levels of awareness. They don't scan the entire field, the entire scope at any one given time. They go into certain modes of behavior, as I've outlined in my playlist, the narcissist modes of behavior. So what happens is sometimes they lock into a certain mode and it's almost like they forget that they are actually stalkers, abusers. And then they see themselves as something amazing. So they'll do something to you. They'll harm you in some sort of way and leave you chasing after them for answers, for closure. And then twist it in their minds that no, actually, that's just you doing that on your own. And that they never did anything to provoke it. They never did anything to you. Because they want it to happen naturally, organically. That's really how they want it to be, and that's why they enter these different states of consciousness. But this is exactly what they do when they're stalking you. So they'll stalk you, they'll watch you for a moment, and they'll tell themselves in their minds, they'll become completely delusional. And think to themselves that it's what you want them to do. That you want them. That you're interested in them. And they have these fantasies in their minds. This is how some of them become rapists. Because they're going off of a fantasy that they've created, and they're constantly scanning you for clues, signs that you are on the same wavelength. This is the mentality of a rapist. This is how they think. They're constantly scanning you for any possible signal. And even if you don't give anything, they'll just pick anything that you do and twist it so that it revolves around them. This is what many narcissists will do. They make everything about themselves, everything about their significance, their importance, their desirability. So you can't even move a muscle without them thinking that it's got something to do with their relevance, their importance, their significance, their desirability, their power, their grip over you. This is how they see it. And this is why many of you may struggle to get away from them, because they're creating these fantasies in their minds. And that's what they want. They don't want the reality. The reality that you are irritated, bothered by their behavior, that you're very uncomfortable around it. They don't want to accept that version of events. They want to go off of the fantasy that really you want them. You like them, you love them. You find them attractive, desirable. And that's really what you want. You just want them to behave appropriately. But they don't have to do that for you because you're not good enough for them. That's how they twist it around in their minds. That's how they have to see it. Because that's the only way that they can feel comfortable. But yeah, they are deeply obsessed with you. And they are hiding their obsession. And they may never reveal this to you because many of them may be quite uncomfortable about it themselves. Of course, they will know that it's not socially acceptable for them to be stalking you, harassing you. And so many of them will hide it and they will lie to themselves about it. And like they do with everything, they will project, deflect onto you and make it more about you and what you're doing to initiate it, to provoke them. Even though, like I said, you may be a very innocent person. You may not be doing anything. They may just be stalking you, watching you, and you're seeking answers. You want to know what is going on. But they can't talk to you about it directly. They've got to be covert because they are in denial. And deep down they know that it is just a fantasy. It is just something that they've created in their heads. And it has no basis in reality. So they can't ever come out and have a conversation with you about it. Because you would just argue back against it. And they would look like the crazy ones for coming out with that. Even though you may have had your suspicions about it for quite a while, that they have been doing this. So, even if they come out with it after a certain amount of time, you could then bring up past events. You could talk about things that you've seen already. And that would make them very uncomfortable. They wouldn't want to put themselves in that type of situation. But yeah, this is why they watch you. They watch you because it feeds their ego. It feeds their fantasy world. All they care about is fantasy. And the fantasy is based off of an idealized version of you. They view you as perfect, something larger than life. This is why they targeted you. This is why they wanted to be around you. This is why they stalk you. Because they see you as this perfect object that's worth watching. The problem is they want you to submit to them, even though they see you as being above them, even though you are above them. But they want it to be the other way around. They want to dominate you. And that's why they have to be covert. They have to stay at a distance from you. so that you can't utilize your power against them. So it's all about keeping you subservient to them through the use of covert tactics, subtle manipulation, so that they can feel like they're above you. They can feel like they're above this person who they initially idealized and viewed as greater than them. The problem is you then became a threat to their ego and to their fantasies about themselves, to their grandiose delusions. So that's why they want to keep you submissive. That's why they want to keep you subservient to them. But yeah, they are fascinated by your emotional reactions. Just the way that you react to things. Just all sorts of reactions that you have, whether it's your happiness, your joy. Because it's not like that for them. They don't get to feel the way that you do. And also they lack empathy. So they can't feel what you feel. They can't share your experience. And that's how you may notice that they really don't care if you're happy or not half the time. They don't care if they're a source of your pain and distress. It doesn't bother them. And in fact, they like that because it makes them feel powerful to take a happy person and turn them into a miserable wreck. To them, that says that they are powerful, that they've dominated you, conquered you. So actually, yeah, they prefer it if they can provoke fear in you. Narcissists and psychopaths, they're all about fear and pain. They're merchants of pain. They want to hurt you, they want to keep you confused and in a fearful state. Especially with narcissists, because they're already on that wavelength. They're already afraid of being rejected or exposed. Psychopaths, they don't really feel fear or stress, but they see it as a form of control. They want to keep their prey under control. They don't want it to get away. So that's why the psychopaths use fear as well. So this is all about control. It's all about controlling this valuable thing that they want. They want your emotions. They want to feed off of them. They want to feed off of your emotional energy, your reactions. They want to learn them so that they can mimic them to attract new sources of supply. This is all about control. It's all about compensating for their insecurities, avoiding feelings of rejection or exposure, feeling better about themselves, feeling their ego, their fantasy, to confirm their false narrative to themselves and their minds that it's actually you who wants or needs them, because that's a big part of their fantasy, is you wanting or needing something from them. So they'll use the stalking to destabilize and confuse you, so that it then leaves you looking outside of yourself for validation, for answers. And typically, when you're in a state of fear, it's just, it's like trauma bonding. It's Stockholm syndrome. How victims will, if they're a hostage, they'll even befriend the person who's a threat, who's attacking them. And this is what happens to many of you. You think that it's love, when actually no, it's just that when you are put in that fearful state, when you're being threatened, you will just, as an empath, as a people pleaser, you can detect what they want, what their fantasy needs from you, and you will just go along with it, often subconsciously. So if you know that they want love, they want to feel desired, then you'll just do that for them. And it feeds into their fantasy, their delusion. It makes them even more obsessed, makes them chase after you even more for that, because that's really what they want from you, is for you to view them as powerful, superior, attractive, desirable, intelligent, charismatic, just all of these things. That's what they want. That is their supply. And as part of the Stockholm Syndrome or the trauma bond, that's typically what you do when you're in the narcissistic fog, the fear, obligation, and guilt. And you mistake it for love because they're feeding it back to you. They're kind of egging you on a bit. They're kind of like, yeah, this is real. You do love me. You do think I'm desirable. When really, no, you don't. If you took some time out of it, from outside of their influence and control, you took some time to yourself and really thought about it, do you love someone like that? Do you love someone who's manipulative, controlling, abusive? Of course not. You could never love someone like that. It's just, you know what they want from you, and you're giving it to them to try and feel safe, to try and feel secure, to avoid being threatened, avoid being harmed. So you're just willingly giving it to them because you know, you've seen it before, that it will calm them down. It will make them better if you do that. Then they won't hurt you. But they're also feeding it back to you. They're validating what you may be thinking at some level is that maybe you do like them. So they're validating that to you because then you can keep feeding into the fantasy. It's brainwashing. You don't actually like them at all. You don't love an abuser. You don't love the narcissist. If you really think about it, you really don't. It's more just going off of your feelings. But if you actually write down the things, the qualities, the traits that this person have, and then write down what you think you love about them. Usually you won't even be able to think of anything that you actually love about this person, because you don't really love them. You love this idea, this fantasy, and it's typically one that is ideal. It has nothing to do with them. What you love is this image in your mind that they are feeding into, but it actually has nothing to do with them at all. And here's the interesting thing. What you'll find is that it actually has far more to do with you than it does with them. That's what you find so attractive, so desirable. It's a reflection of yourself that you are projected onto them, that they mirrored in the beginning. And this is why they're so fascinated with this in you, because they want to keep learning it so that they can use it to control you and also to attract new sources. So that should help to relieve some of the guilt or shame that some victims may be feeling, because of course, it doesn't feel good, especially afterwards. It doesn't feel good to think that you have loved an abuser, a predator, someone who meant nothing good for you. It doesn't feel good to love someone like that. But that's just it. You never loved them. You loved what you thought you saw in them, what you projected onto them from yourself. You saw the best in them, the best that didn't even exist, that was just a reflection of you, of your good qualities. It had nothing to do with them. And this is why now you encounter a bit of a problem here, because it's like you think you love this person, but then it's like, what do you actually love about them? What is that that's going to keep you there? Because really, you're experiencing all of these problems with them. You're not happy. At least you're not happy with them. Only they've trained you to think that it's you, that you're not happy with you or about yourself. But if you really look at it, if you spend some time outside of it, you would realize that you're fine with yourself. They are the ones who have a problem with you. And yet you couldn't see it that same way. You couldn't see yourself the way that they saw you. So they then had to train you to see yourself in an undesirable way, to regulate their emotions because they felt like something was wrong with them. They couldn't beat you in that because the real always wins. The realness always wins in the end. And so they couldn't stamp that out of you. So yeah, it has nothing to do with love. It's all about control. They are very insecure. And of course they would be insecure because think about it. They targeted someone who's above them. Someone who is superior to them. And they know that you're superior to them. That's why they targeted you. They don't want to be around someone less than them. But at the same time, even after they've targeted someone, you, who's above them, they don't want to accept that you are above them because they want the power and control. They don't want to feel insecure. They don't want to feel less. And that's how it becomes this battle, this fight to conquer you, to bring you down. Because yeah, while they want to be around you, while they want to have access to you, they don't want to accept their place. They don't want to have to accept their inferior position. And this is really what a narcissist is. It's someone who doesn't want to accept their place. They don't want to accept who they are. They want to have the authority, the control, when they shouldn't have it. And, this is how you know that you're dealing with a narcissist, because if you look into it a bit more, if you start asking questions, it never adds up. It never makes any sense. You just begin to realize that this person is your subordinate, or that they do not possess the necessary skills, qualities, abilities for the position that they desire, and that they're really just faking it. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of this video that ASSC Direct uploaded a few years ago. It was an actual infield video that someone uploaded, someone sent to him. And it was this man working in a store. And maybe he felt insecure or something, but he said that he was in the army, in the US military. And so this person who was purchasing something at the store, they inquired more into it. They wanted to know more about it. And it was just clear he didn't know anything. He was just putting on an act. He was pretending to be something. He was trying to make it seem like he was something more than what he actually is. That he wasn't just someone working in a store, and that in fact, he was in the military when he didn't even know anything about it. He was just completely lying. And this is exactly what narcissists do. They sell something to you, a product that doesn't even exist. It's all a scam. It's not even real. It's not even them. They're just going off of what they think is going to appeal to you, or just what's typically seen as something desirable or of status in society. They're just going off of that. But that's not really them. They don't really care about it. They're not passionate about it. They don't possess any of their skills, any of the qualities, abilities, nothing. It's all just a fantasy in their minds. And these fantasies can change depending on the person they're dealing with. And that's really who they are. They are a manipulator. They're liars. It's all fake. So it has nothing to do with love. I mean, think about it. You didn't even know who they were, really. You don't know the real them. They don't want you to know anything about the real them because they already know it's not good enough. If they thought that was good enough, they would just present that to you instead. And not only that, but they can't love you. They're never going to give any love to you. And there's never going to be any true intimacy, any genuine connection. It's never going to happen because they don't love themselves. That's why they give you the fantasy. That's why they manipulate you to begin with. Because they already know you're not going to want the real them. If you see them as they actually are, you're not going to have any interest in them. You're just going to keep it moving. You're going to forget all about them. So they try and hook you. They try and hold on to you by using the manipulation or even future faking sometimes. And this is how you know when they haven't got anything, or at least not anything that you would even want, is when instead of love bombing you, they just settle for lies and future faking. Now that's when you know you're not missing out on anything. Because if they had something that they thought could keep you hooked, then they would give you that. And especially if they're continuing to watch you, then you know that you're worth anything that they could give to you if they had it. Because they clearly still have an interest in you. But yeah, sometimes they'll twist it. They may try and make it seem like they're seeking answers, they're seeking closure from you. Because you were the abuser, you did something wrong to them. When actually, no, that's not true. Narcissists do not seek closure. They only seek dominance and control. That's all that they care about. So don't let them twist that around on you as well. But yeah, honestly, these people can watch you for years and never get bored and never forget about you. Honestly, from that moment on, when they targeted you, when they idealized you, you wonder why you gradually become a different person. It's like you no longer recognize yourself anymore because that's all going to them. From the moment that they set eyes on you, that they pinpointed you, they wanted to be you. And so they stole from you, they betrayed you, they dominated you. They took everything that they could get. And from that point on, you set the bar, you became the measuring stick for them. And so now everything that they do from that point on, it's all in reference to you, to who you were at the beginning before they did all of those things to you. That's become the measuring stick for them in their lives. And they constantly measure themselves up to that to see how they're doing. And they base their false identity off of it. This is what they do. And their false identity is also based off of how you're doing now. So they need to move you as far away from who you actually are as possible, and to try and align with who you were as much as they can. Because it's kind of like an identity swap. They saw something that was superior to them, that they aspired to be like but knew they could never be like it. So then they just desired to steal from you. And so that's what they did. Because it caused a narcissistic injury. They just felt rejected, inadequate from that moment on. They felt like they could never measure up to you, like they were never going to be anything. So it all just based off of you from that point on. Because they just saw it as they have never seen anything at that level before meeting you. And they assume that they're never going to find anything better ever again. And that's just it. The only way that they ever will switch up their identity, their false identity, their false image, the only way that's ever going to happen is if they do find someone more ideal than you. But don't fall for what they're trying to sell to you. It's not someone more ideal than after they've destroyed you. No, that would be too easy for them. It's not that simple. They're not just going to forget about who you were. That left an impact on them and it will never go away. The only way that it will ever go away, that they will ever forget about it, is if they do find someone who, in their minds, but not also in their minds, but as the collective society would see it, someone who is superior to who you were at the beginning, in terms of your attractiveness, your status, your wealth, power, everything. And the odds are that's never going to happen. There is never going to be anyone to replace you, and that's typically why they're still watching you. That's why they haven't moved on. Because if they had found someone who was greater than you wouldn't hear anything from them. They'd be too busy with that person. And sometimes it can look like they are, because, like I said at the beginning, it gives their power away if you know that they're still watching you. Then it reveals to you that they haven't got any power at all. So this is why typically they won't want to reveal that to you. They're not going to want you to know how special and how important you are. They don't want you to know what level you're on, because that would give their power away. And, well, it's not really giving their power away. They haven't really got any power. It's more just giving you back your power, because they take your power by confusing you, destabilizing you, watching you and secretly admiring you when really they're just acting like they don't. And this is what it's really about, is that it's because they idealized you initially. They saw you as perfect. Everything that they could have ever wanted to be, that was you. They wished that they could have been you. They wished that they could have lived your life. And instead, they settled for trying to fuse with you in a relationship dynamic. But then they realized that you weren't going to fall for it, and you weren't willingly going to hand it over to them. So then they had to steal from you, devalue you, turn against you. But it left an impact on them. And especially since they took action to turn against you, to devalue you, to steal from you, it confirms that. They may have been better off if they had never done any of those things, and if instead they just walked away and ghosted you. And that's what many narcissists do at the beginning. When they realize they can't gain control, that they can't get anything out of you, they will just ghost you. Because some of them may know from past experiences that if they do go deeper into it, if they do start taking things from you, trying to destroy you, then it confirms that, yeah, you were greater than them all along. Because why else would they need to take from you? If you really were inferior, if you really were the one who needed them. So it just ends up converting that to them. And that's how they then end up becoming obsessed, because they're trying to fight against that narrative. Although it's true, they keep watching you, hoping to see that you're still suffering. And maybe plotting behind the scenes, maybe running a smear campaign or discrediting you. Just trying to do anything that they can to keep you off balance, to further confirm their fantasy, their delusions about themselves, which has to operate through you, because their entire false identity, like I said, is based off of you. So in order for them to validate their false identity, they have to affect it through you. And they have to get you to filter everything through them. So this is what they're doing. This is what's going on. I do apologize for the abundance of trolls in this live video. No moderators in this one. But yeah, you know, people are getting upset that I'm exposing this about them. Because, you know, there's a lot of narcissists out there who are living a lie, who are fooling a lot of people. And they don't like it when people talk about it. Especially though I myself, I am that ideal person that many people targeted. And so, as I mentioned in this video, they're doing that with me. Because their fragile ego, their false identity is based off of me, how I'm doing. And so there's a lot of people out there who don't even want me to be me. Because we can't all be me. But that's just it, you know, because they're never going to be you. They're never going to be any of us. All they're ever going to be is delusional people who think they're something that they're not. That's all they're ever going to be. And the best that it gets for them is trying to interrupt, trying to destabilize us, to confirm some delusional reality in their heads, because deep down they know that they're nothing. And yeah, that's as good as it gets for them. It's never going to be any better than that. So, but in any moment, they've got to get it from us. We have to give them the confirmation. We have to be on the wavelength that they need us to be on in any moment in order to support their fantasy. So they've got to pull us into it. And, you know, as you probably guessed by now, my mission on here is to pull you all out of it. I'm pulling you all out of the fantasy, out of the delusions that they are trying to pull you into, keep you into. Because that's what they need you for. That's what gives them supply. But the way I see it is though, you're meant for so much more than that. And they knew that. That's why they targeted you. You're meant for something greater. So, yeah, and that's what I want for all of you. I want you all to be free. I want you all to awaken to this truth. That you are being manipulated, you are being brainwashed, and you are meant for so much better than this. So yeah, that's the message for today. And if you have any questions, let me know in the live chat. If I can see them amongst all of these trolls, because there's so many of them. Not only do I get targeted in real life, I also get targeted in the live chat as well. It's funny though, they never leave a comment, but there's like a network of them operating in the live chat. They all run off of a system. It's a group of them. But yeah, they're all likely to be narcissistic, very envious, jealous people. They feel threatened by me talking about this, and just by people seeing this, people being aware of this information, people waking up. They want to keep you all stuck in an endless fantasy. They never want you to wake up from this dream. They want you to remain stuck in the narcissistic fog, or sometimes stuck as a fly monkey. That's what they want for you, and I don't want that for any of you. I want you all to awaken. And yeah, that's how I'm able to get on here every day and do these live videos, face to face with you, up close and personal. Well, as with these narcissists, you can't even sit down and have a conversation with them. Just imagine me sitting here. Imagine someone else sitting opposite me, a narcissist. Do you think I could sit down and have a mature, responsible conversation with them? Of course not. There'd be all of these manipulations, distractions, rage baiting. It'd just be all of this chaos and confusion. Because they know that they're in denial. They know that beneath the fantasy, they're just frauds. Deep down, they are aware of that. So they have to confuse everything. Aaron Michael says, does your sister know you do this? For the love of Mike, I met your parents when I was a child. Well, that's interesting to know. I know that you've been a regular in the live chats for like the last few months now. But I do find that a lot though. There are a lot of trolls, and even people in person, they always act like they know me personally, or they know my family or something, even though I haven't even seen my close family for over 3 years because I've been traveling. So it doesn't really make any sense. But yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of people like this on here. There's even trolls on the live chats who pose as victims when really they're covert narcissists, and they could be pretending for months, maybe even years in some cases. But when they do come out, believe it. And it's not just on my channel, on many other channels as well. Some covert narcissists really do believe that they're victims or survivors. Others actually know that they are narcissists, but they just pretend in order to get supply. But yeah, I think we're going to need more moderators, because there's no moderators on in this one. And I think that's kind of what they wait for as well. They wait to see, is there a moderator? Is there any point in coming on here if we're just going to get blocked? But yeah, if you'd like to be a moderator on the channel, just send me an email to coaching@narcsurvivor.co.uk. But I don't know, they probably think they're irritating me. They probably think that it's making me look bad. They probably think that other people who watch my videos are just as delusional as they are. They have a warped mindset, and they think that if they manipulate, if they leave these immature comments, if they can rage bait you, then you're going to look bad in front of other people. And then your fans, your followers are not going to believe in you. But I've been dealing with these tactics for practically my entire life. So, you know, I know how to manage them. I know how to deal with them. And honestly, it's quite a dumb place to look for supply, because most of you are already awakened to this. You already know all of the tactics that they use. So they're really just wasting their time. Or maybe they're not, because, you know, let's be real, what else have they got to do? That is their life, is being a narcissist, manipulating people, deceiving them. And that's really the highlight of their day, is if they can deceive someone. And that's really it. That's probably the highlight of their entire lives, is that if they can get one over on someone, rather than actually being real or connecting with anyone. Aaron Michael says, Christopher, this is actually me. I'm not talking to you. There is someone I know who I'm talking to, not you. All right, maybe I got that wrong then. It happens, you know, when you've got so many trolls, so many people stalking and harassing you all the time, it gets very confusing. You can't tell who is actually genuine. It's kind of like the show that I've been watching on Netflix, The 100. It gets to a point in the show where no one can tell whose side anyone is on anymore, because so many people just end up betraying each other. This is what happens. But typically, with narcissists, I mean, you know, they usually know who they are. You know, they know where they belong. It's usually for us, because we're genuine, we get confused about who's real and who's not. They don't get confused about who's fake. They know who's fake. But yeah, I apologize for that if I got that wrong, Aaron Michael. It's very easy for me to make mistakes on here, as other moderators have as well. Sometimes we've hidden people by accident because there's so many trolls coming on here, and it is difficult to tell who's real and who's not. And it's so easy, you know, especially when it comes to text, to misinterpret something. You may believe something with full conviction in your mind, and you may be a very intelligent person, and still you can get it wrong. No matter how much experience you've had, you can still get it wrong. It can happen. I mean, even psychiatrists, you know, they make diagnoses, and they often misdiagnose people. People who are highly qualified and they have years of experience in doing it, and even they can get it wrong. But yeah, I mean, sometimes, you know, I wonder what these people think they're going to accomplish. I mean, the irony is that when they create all of this drama, if anything, it attracts more viewers. It attracts more publicity. That's just what it does. I mean, this is why just the topic of narcissism is so popular on YouTube. Drama, conflict, it does attract a lot of people. Some people who want to resolve it, and some people, they just enjoy it. So they're really just wasting their time anyway. But as we know, this is what they do. But yeah, let me know if you've got any questions. I've got my Nala on the bed here, doing the Superman pose. Super cats. But yeah, it's kind of like the show off Netflix, The 100. Towards the end of it, they don't even know who's real and who's not. They don't know who's on their side anymore. Because that's just it, When people are in survival mode, when people are trying to survive, many of them, they're just not even genuine. They will sell their souls. They will do anything to just position themselves how they like. Emma Heaton says it also takes our attention off our lives and taking care of ourselves, because we're putting out their fires. Oh yeah, they're so jealous because, that's just it. They idealized you initially. And, they see the way that you take care of yourself. They see what you're accustomed to, and they're so jealous about it. So resentful, because it's never been like that for them. And that's why they wanted to get around you. It was a come up for them. But never anything that they could respect or appreciate. It was just something they wanted for themselves. Glad to hear it, Michael. I don't want to turn anyone genuine against me. I do value genuine people, of course. And, that's why we've got this community on here. Because most of us, at least, are genuine, authentic. But yeah, I just want to expose all of these liars, all of these frauds. As I'm sure many of you do, we just don't want them around us. We just want a safe space for ourselves, where we can be comfortable, away from all of the madness, away from all of the liars, the frauds. But unfortunately, we try and get away from them, and they follow. Because that's what they're looking for, is innocent, genuine people. But yeah, I'm just out here on the balcony here. The real Wayno says statistically 1 in 6 is a narc. Yeah, Dr. Ramani has said that. 1 in 6 people are narcissists. Maybe 1 in 5 or more in cities. But that's narcissists. You know, what about people who are toxic? What about people who are likely to cause harm to you? Just think about it, you know. If you're living in a condominium like this, just imagine how many narcissists are living here. The odds are you've definitely got a few narcissists just on your floor alone. These narcissists are everywhere. And, you know, just on the topic of this video, many of them are watching you. Sometimes we worry about people in our own family, in our own relationship. You don't know, there could be someone on your floor, on your streets. There could be a potential murderer, paedophile, rapist, living on your very streets or on your very floor. And, you know, they could be keeping a close eye on you, even watching your children. These people are everywhere. And, you know, this is why I do what I do. To just put these signs out there. Because once you're aware of it, you know what to look for. And honestly, I just want all of these people to be exposed. I just want it all to come to the light. But as a victim, a survivor myself, I'm not the type of person to go around just, you know, exposing people, running smear campaigns. That's just typically not something that we do. We usually just want to be left alone in peace. Unless they've like completely destroyed us and we've got no other choice. But yeah, honestly, these people are everywhere. But typically, you know, that's how it goes, is that you're going to have at least one narcissist in your own family. Maybe more. And even then, you know, there's going to be narcissists on your street, on your floor, wherever you are. And of course, there's going to be tons of narcissists in your community. You're going to see them wherever you go, you know, at the workplace, at the church. They're everywhere. And sometimes they're not always so obvious to spot, because some of them can be covert. But yeah, I've lost count of the amount of times that I have been manipulated and exploited by narcissists. But this has happened, this is something that happens every day to me. Like wherever I go, these people are everywhere. And I know, you know, it's something we're all going through. It's something that we can all hear about. The amount of views that these videos get online, it's insane. And then let's not forget, there's other platforms as well. These videos are getting billions of views on YouTube and TikTok. Even if they're not all narcissists, people who are similar to this are everywhere. But yeah, it's good that we got good people on here. People who are against exploitation, deception. Because what's the point, isn't it? It's like, it's gone to a point where reality is so fake. Like, this world is so fake. It's just not even real anymore. It's like your dreams are more real than reality. Because everyone you see in real life, they're all fake. But of course, not everyone is fake. There are some real people. But even then, those real people, they're not who they should be. Because they're likely some of the people who have been exploited. They should be something else. But yeah, just be very careful with these narcissists. Because many of them are watching you. They are stalking you. And they are fascinated with you. Because you're just a genuine person, you have emotions, you have reactions, you think about things. You're about growth, healing. Things that are very different to them. They pretended to be a certain way, they mirrored you, but that's not really what they're about. And that's why they're so fascinated with you. I mean, that's not to say that you can't be fascinated with something that's similar to you. It's like sometimes people will watch a show or a movie as a form of escapism because it's very different to their own lives. But then other times they'll watch it because it's very similar to their own experiences. But with narcissists, it is because we're very different, but also there is something that binds us. As psychologist Ross Rosenberg has pointed out in his book, The Human Magnet Syndrome. And this really comes back to a shame wound. Those of us who experience childhood abuse or neglect. So there may be certain insecurities there. And, if you got that, you're speaking their language. Because they're all about fears, anxiety, stress, pain, trauma, rejection. You're always speaking their language there, and if you're not, they'll try and get you to speak it. Because that's what vibes with them. That's what kind of wavelength they're on. And even though, they'll act perfect, they'll act like, no, it's not something they're interested in. Clearly it is, because otherwise, why do they constantly try to get you onto that wavelength? It's because it's something that speaks to them. It's something that they like. It's to do with some kind of childhood abuse or neglect that they've experienced, but they don't want to deal with, and instead they want to project it onto you and get you to identify with it. Because I don't know about you, but, well, I do know about you, most of you at least, other than the trolls. But those of you, if you watch like interrogations, I often watch videos about psychopathic killers stuff like that. Because I'm fascinated by just how they are. Because we're so different. And it just makes me wonder, you know, how did you get to that point of killing or raping someone? What's going on in your mind? But of course, with them, it's the opposite. You know, with us, we have a sense of stability. We're relatively secure. And they're kind of fascinated with that, and they want to pick it apart. They want to see how it works, and they want to see, can they break it down? It's like a challenge to them. Once they've broken you down, once they've torn you apart, they lose interest. They're only wanting you then to make sure you stay stuck in that state. But yeah, these people are all fake. They're all just impersonators. They're all just chasing after some form of ideal that they saw in you and other people before you, because they see it as greater than themselves. But that's never going to be them. They're always going to be liars, cheaters, fraudsters. They're always going to con you. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's good for this video. Give it a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. If you're new here, subscribe. Click all notifications so that you'll be notified when I go live again. However, if you are one of the many trolls, just unsubscribe. Stop watching content that's clearly triggering you, and just go run off and live in your fantasy with someone else. But yeah, those of you who actually want guidance and support your healing journey, you can book a one-on-one with me by going to narcsurvivor.co.uk. I am available for you. And you can also follow me on my Instagram. It's Narc Survivor YouTube. If you'd like to support our channel, you can donate by going to paypal.me/narcsurvivor. And other than that, that's it for this one. And I'll talk to you in another video very soon.